Razorback Nation, welcome into this late afternoon episode of your Razor Recap. This afternoon, we're brought to you by Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and anywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Founded right here at home and now run by Razorback loving family. Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool. So go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. And can't forget about our OG sponsor, Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. You can check them out today. And if you're in Northwest Arkansas, you can check out the Core Brewery Tap Room in Northwest Arkansas. And you can check out all the Scarlet Letters and their various flavors on tap there. So go check them out today. And we'll jump right in here with very heartbreaking loss today for the Lady Razorbacks as they were, trying to play for that super regional berth this afternoon. They had a big game last night to tie up the series. They come back today for that rubber match, if you will, in the super regionals, and things didn't start out great for them. Peyton Burnham, she gets the start after looking lights out last night. It allows a few runners, has a home run. Arkansas gets off from behind, but they come back and tie it. Robin Herring comes in the game, calms things down for a little bit. And then Peyton Burnham comes back in the game to kind of close things out for Arkansas. And, unfortunately, they can't get things done there. It's very unfortunate for these seniors, especially somebody like Bree Ellis, the career she's had here at Arkansas, especially this year, the way she's finished the season. They were talking about it the entire broadcast about how she hadn't hit a home run in the last 20 at-bats. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, that's kind of hard to do when you're getting walked most of those at-bats anyway.
Yeah, and it's tough because the hits that when she does make contact, she just couldn't hit it straight, and I don't care how great you are. Every batter is going to go through that. And it doesn't take anything away from what she did this season. She's still one of the best hitters in college softball history, right? We can say that. It's tough to see them kind of go down like this to Ole Miss again for the second time this season too. So that, yeah, it's rough. It's rough to see that. I do think we've got a very, very good pitcher in Burnham, though. The way that she kind of stepped up through the stretch the last end of the season, yeah, she's going to be big. And, I mean, she's a true freshman. So we've got her for at least, I don't know when they start, drafting, but at least a couple more years, I believe. Still, I don't know. It's not like this team's going to, just crash and burn after it. This is the third time in 5 years that they've dropped the Arkansas Super Regional, right? And even though they keep doing that, Courtney Deifel keeps bringing this team back and keeps, year by year makes them better. It's not like this is going to be like this the entire time. She's making one of the best softball teams or softball programs in the country. So I'm not worried about it. It's sad to see these girls, who worked so hard to do what they did, to have one of the best, one of the best teams in the SEC this year, but one of the best teams in Arkansas history, if not the best team in Arkansas history. And it just sucks to see it go out like this. And it sucks to see it go out like this again, even though they have the talent and they have all the hitting and they have the pitching, and they just shouldn't get it. You know what that sounds like to me, though? It sounds like Arkansas baseball. Arkansas baseball always has the talent. They usually have the pitching, and then the hitting comes and goes. But the pitching is always there. And now that we have the best hitting, probably ever, the pitching's, not up to where it usually is. It's still a good pitching staff. It's just, it's sucky in comparison to, the Arkansas standard. So it's one of the Hawgs gonna hog moment, right? It's what it is. And that's nothing against like them or anything. It's just whatever curse that the University of Arkansas has on it. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with what they did. It's just Arkansas is cursed. I don't know what it is.
Well, and you mentioned that, and I feel like it's the most Arkansas thing too as well. Game one of these super regionals, you didn't have Peyton Burnham. you had Robin Heron for 2 innings because lo and behold, they're dealing with food poisoning. So, I mean, out of everything going on, like you said, we have this culmination of talent hitting, 2 really good pitchers, and then boom, game 1, you're hit with, well, Peyton Burnham doesn't even warm up because of food poisoning. Robin Heron's only able to go 2 innings, and that's where you're at. I mean, and it's like, they asked Coach Deifel after the game. They're like, what would it look like if you had your pitchers,
At
it
full strength.
in game 1, and she said, I mean, she said, what are the chances? What are the chances? And this team still fought and they gave it their all. Yeah, I mean, what are the chances? Because if you're thinking that might be a completely different outcome. You have Peyton Burnham and Robin Heron at full strength. We might be talking about a different results, or we might not have even played the game. You can what if yourself to death, but it's the typical Arkansas type of thing where they flashed the graphic a few times during the game where since 2021, 21 and 22 super regionals both those years, and then 23, 24, and then regionals, and then now back to supers this year. And you gotta they're getting there, but just not getting over that hump. You got another top tier recruiting class coming in next year. But man, it's gonna suck to lose Brie Ellis. She's one of 3 seniors this year. Her, Reagan Kramer out in the outfield, quote unquote Reagan's or Kramer's corner that you've seen the sign on TV several times, and then Courtney Day that transferred in as well. So three of those pieces that are going to be huge misses for this team going forward. But, a lot of talent coming in. Like to your point, you've got Peyton Burnham, who looks like she could be a key pitcher down the stretch. She looks like in a year or two has the chance to be, your ace going forward. But very heartbreaking loss today to see the Hawgs lose that game in tough fashion. They played an Ole Miss team that, to open up SEC play, lost the series to them on the road. And then, they come here, and it's just unfortunate the way the things unfolded for this team and what type of year they had after turning it around. Started conference play 1-5, and then, struggled, then had that Oklahoma series, and then kind of just went on a tear after that. And, you hate to see it, but like to your point, what you said earlier, the program that Courtney Deifel's built here has been fantastic, and I think she's going to get there. It's just once you get to this point in postseason, it's really tough, and it comes down to which team can make the plays and has the right personnel. And unfortunately, game 1 food poisoning strikes. Arkansas bounces back in that game 2, and then a decisive game 3 today. Just a handful of mistakes, a few pitches left out there. Peyton Burnham in the top inning, not putting this on anybody, but, it's on everybody, and it's just very unfortunate.
Yeah. And, that it's just, and you can't blame it on this game, right? She went out there and she pulled a Zach route, except, I mean, if we're going to talk about it in a minute, but I'm not blaming Zach Root for that game at all. But she just kind of, came out flat, and then they held it down until like the 4th or 5th inning. And then they just nickeled and dined them, and, kind of got those insurance runs every once in a while. And then, hey, let's actually talk about like the performance from Ole Miss pitcher Brianna Lopez. Is that what her name is? Pretty sure. Like, wow.
Are you talking about the one that started the game or finished the game?
Yeah, finished the game, because she had like
Aaliyah Brentford.
Well, Brentford? Oh, I need to change my article then, because I don't know what the heck is up with stat broadcast, but they had some weird stuff today. Anyway, she was lights out, dude. I mean, from the 3rd inning to the 6th inning, she retired Arkansas's batters in order, all the way down. Like, didn't give up a hit, didn't give up a walk, nothing. And then And then, Bree Ellis goes out there and gets a walk in the 7th and kind of gives, a little bit of hope. But then Arkansas gets 2 strikeouts right in a row. And it's just, what can you do? I don't know, man. She pitched a really good game, and hats off to them.
Yeah, 100%. That's the way that, she was a senior, comes in, leads this team. Unfortunately, it had to happen to Arkansas, but that's what, teams that make run do right there. And not saying that Arkansas couldn't have done that, but I mean, she really stepped up, put her team on the back, like you said, went down and, just wasn't allowing anything, and it's unfortunate right there at the end. She actually got to semi-pitch to Bree Ellis, and she gets a hit. She gets on base, and you're thinking, okay, this might be the spark we need to get some things started. And then, unfortunately, that's just not the case. I'm excited to see where this program is going to head. You're losing those 3 key pieces next year, but I'm excited to see, with the incoming talent, who's going to return. And, of course, there's always the transfer portal that, Coach Steifel is going to go out and attack and get some pieces in to fill out this roster for next season to, get ready to turn around and do it all over again. So, hats off to this team. They had a great season regardless of how unfortunate it was that it ended in, heartbreaking fashion in a super regional yet again. But, I think Courtney Deifel's got what it takes to get this team there. It's just, it's all about those feet, all the pieces falling in line at the same time. And that's really tough to do once you get the supers. Had a lot of teams punching their tickets already, and Arkansas played and, fought back from everything, from the bad start to conference play, to getting a big, much-needed win last night to continue the season. And so, hopefully these girls are proud of what they achieved here. It's just sad to see it in that way. But, hey, this won't be the last you'll see of Bree Ellis playing softball as she'll get ready to – I don't know when exactly the season starts, but, she'll be playing in the Athletes Unlimited Professional Softball League. So you'll still get to see plenty of those Bree bombs at the professional level. But it's like Transplant Texans said here, disappointing loss. Ole Miss just controlled the weekend, and that's just how it went. Hobbs not able to join us tonight, but jumping in the chat with us. He said, great season for the girls. Can't wait to be back on the show for Thursday. Love you guys. You enjoy your Memorial Day weekend plans with your family. We'll be glad to have you back in this week. But, so, hopefully this season, we'll see how the rest of it plays out for college softball. There's a heck of a lot of SEC teams headed to the College World Series. Namely Oklahoma's the main one that everybody's going to be watching out for, and what they've done. Wouldn't be surprised to see a repeat there, but you've also got some other teams punch their ticket from the SEC as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. So, hats off to this year's softball team. Fantastic job, fantastic season. Wasn't the ending we all wanted, but, still a heck of a season for those girls. So.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, Transplant Texan, that might be the grossest thing you've ever said on this podcast, man. Ole Miss controlling a weekend for anything is just, it makes me want to vomit. I hate it. I hate it really bad. Out of all the, rivals that we have, they're like probably 3rd or 4th on the list for me. But I still don't like it. All right. I don't like it whenever they come in here and do that. It's just, I don't know, man. I hate it. I really do.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling this type of way right now, Transplant Texan. We'll jump over real quick before talking some Arkansas baseball. We're talking about postseason play. So Arkansas, they finished as number 2 seed in the SEC, playing the SEC tournament on Friday, ironically enough, against Ole Miss. And they lose this one 5-2. Ole Miss goes on to play in the championship game. Vanderbilt wins the SEC tournament. And this was just not – this was an uncharacteristic day for Arkansas baseball, as, we're one of the better fielding teams in the country, and we committed some uncharacteristic errors in the field on defense. Zach Root does not have the best start. That he's had a few of these games where he comes out and he's lights out, and he comes out where not the greatest either, and he goes 4 innings in this game, allows 7 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts, and goes 78 pitches. Let him go kind of no cap in what we thought there might be some limitations there, but not in this game. Then you have Gabe Geckel come in for relief, 3 innings pitched for him, 2 hits allowed, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts on 44 pitches. Cole Gibler comes in, allows 1 hit in 1 2/3 innings, 4 strikeouts for him on 27 pitches, and then Christian Fouch, a third of an inning, 1 strikeout on 3 pitches. So, all 5 runs Ole Miss scored comes off Zach Root, and that's all they needed. Arkansas bats weren't necessarily there in this game, but it's like I said, we had to lose to Ole Miss, and we only had to win necessarily 3 games to get to the SEC final. But at the end of the day, I'm not too upset that we lost the SEC, our first and only game. But like Hobbs says here, we'll be fine. Team will be ready to play for when it matters next weekend. He said, get ready to see TCU or Kansas, maybe even Nebraska in our regional potentially. So
that's gross too. So I want to talk about this because it kind of looked like Root had the same type of performance that he did the first. He kind of started the SEC play or ended the SEC play the way he started it, just not very good at all. But okay, let's break this down. Let's work backwards. Right before they had that, it didn't count as an error. It was a fielder's choice, I think is what they called it. But they got the first half of a double play, and then they threw it to first, and then the pitch brought what's his name, Reese Robinette off the bag, right? That allowed the setup for a 3-run homer in the next at bat. So that's 3 runs. That's not on him. Like, to me, like that shouldn't have even happened because it wasn't the next at bat. It was the one after because they got a strikeout the next one. That strikeout would have been strike 3, and then they would have went into the dugout, just giving up 2 runs instead of 3 runs. Right. So yeah. I don't want to say like he shouldn't have even faced that batter. Right. And then you take away Aloy's, error that takes away 1 run. So it's like I want to be mad at the pitching staff too, because they just kind of haven't been great all year. But that was totally on the fielding. It was 100% on fielding. And the reason they didn't win is because the batting kind of sucked later on, because the fielding, it shored up. Right after that first inning, it was lights out. Pitching was lights out. Then the bats just kind of went cold. So, yeah, that was a rough game, but at the same time, it just wasn't I don't want to say that I mean, it wasn't important, but it's not like they were going out there and just not caring. I think that they needed this to have that wake-up call. Like, hey, you know what? We can still get our butts kicked, right? And it doesn't matter that we beat these guys 2 times and won the series. We can still get our butts kicked by them.
Right.
And if we're not on our A game, we're not gonna make it out of our regional or our super regional. So, yeah, I don't. It just it sucks to go out like that too. It's really ironic that Ole Miss took out both of them. I don't think ironic is actually the word. A coincidence, that they took out both of them.
Gross, but, whatever you want to, disgusting, however you want to describe that. Then
it's. But at the same time, Arkansas baseball still has the NCAA tournament. Where we know they're hosting. I mean, that broke right before we came on here. They're one of the 16 teams hosting. So we'll see what the seeding is, whether or not they get a top 8 seed and get a super regional. But at the same time, that doesn't matter either, because we haven't done really well in our super regionals. So, I mean, if they have to go to like, I don't even remember who it was. But if they don't make a super regional, that's not the end of the world either. So I'm not worried. I think they'll be good. I think this is going to be a wake up call for them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, we know they're a host site for baseball. We know that for sure. We're going to see. We know we're going to be a host side. It's like you said, depending on what seed we're going to be. Find out tomorrow during the selection show, which is at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So it's going to be fun. But
sucks.
Yeah, true. But at least it's not a true work day, though. So
that's true. I don't have to go to work tomorrow.
Hey,
Made my night, Caleb. That's funny.
But there you go. You're welcome. But to talk some Arkansas baseball in this postseason, we're going to be joined by Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered to talk about some Arkansas baseball. Thanks for taking the time out to join us, Chris. How's it going? Not sure if he's there. There he is. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah. What's up, guys? I'm doing well. How's it going?
It's going, man.
Doing pretty good. Unfortunate loss for our softball team we were just talking about, but we still got baseball that's getting ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, no, excited, man. I mean, I would expect fully when we get it tomorrow that Arkansas is going to be a top 8 national seed. And, I mean, I've talked about it for weeks. I know that, Hawgs lost 4 of the last 6 SEC series, but closed out strong, beating Tennessee in that final home series, especially after losing the first game. But I think they're one of the most complete teams in the country. So I think the big question will be going into the postseason. I think the good news for this team, there's so many new guys that transfer portal guys that are contributing on this team that maybe they don't feel the effects of the previous year's shortcomings, because I know what the thought process of the fan base is going to be is, oh my God, here we go again. If things start to kind of go awry or they get down early in a game or whatever. But we all know this team, as talented as any in the country, like I said, I do think you could argue they're the most complete team in the country, just 1 through 9, starting rotation, bullpen, defensively, obviously the coaching staff with the legendary head coach. So, yeah, excited to see exactly what national seed they are and who they're matched up with and who they're paired with. And, again, this is a team that I think the expectation should be they should get to Omaha. So we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah. So question is, I don't think most people will be, but what is your thought about seeing that, half of the field or host sites are SEC teams? It's not surprising me whatsoever, but to see that you have 8 out of the 16 national seeds are going to be SEC schools.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all. I mean, I know I sound biased saying it, but it's just the reality. It's the best conference in college baseball, and it's just not particularly close. It's the deepest conference in college baseball. I thought Rob Vaughn, Alabama's head coach, said it really well when he was talking about just the depth of the league and the week in, week out grind that you go through for 10 straight weekends. So, yeah, I mean, 8 is a lot, but it's deserved. You know what I mean? And I think we're probably going to see 5 of those 8, maybe actually 6 of those 8, I would imagine, that are top 8 national seeds. And it's just, again, it's earned, right? It's earned. So Ole Miss and Tennessee being the other 2, I would expect the other 6 to be top 8 national seeds. So again, man, it's the best conference. It's the deepest conference. Obviously adding a Texas and Oklahoma only added to that. And certainly with Texas, the year they had winning the regular season title, it only enhanced what was already a great league. So I really wasn't surprised at all. I mean, guys, it went about kind of how we expected. I know there was some debate with the 16 seed with, I think that's probably going to be UCLA's spot. They get that over a Georgia Tech, for example, that won the ACC regular season title. And I believe it's the first time that a ACC regular season champ will not be hosting a regional. Listen, is there some bias in that from the standpoint of I think they want to show the West Coast some love? I saw Oregon State on the list. I saw Oregon on the list. I think probably that plays into it. But in regards to the SEC, I was not surprised in the slightest. And again, guys, I mean, Ole Miss and Tennessee, they played themselves into it. Both came into the week, I think, very much so on the bubble. And, Tennessee wins a couple big games, and Ole Miss obviously makes their way to the championship. So both squarely, comfortably, I would say, obviously made it. And the other 6 were no-brainers, in my opinion. So well-deserved for the SEC to get those 8.
100%. Now, as we dive into some projections, looking at, we'll know for sure 100% tomorrow, but, D1 Baseball and Baseball America has some projections on, who they think could be an Arkansas regional. D1 Baseball, as of today, has Arkansas projected as the number 3 overall seed, with Kansas, Creighton, and Little Rock being in their regional. And ironically enough, matching up with the potentially Tennessee Knoxville regional for supers, which could be interesting. Then you jump over to Baseball America. They also have Arkansas as the number three overall seed with Northeastern out of the CAA, Miami from the ACC, and Little Rock again from the OVC in the Fayetteville Regional, and Baseball America has the Fayetteville Regional matching up with UCLA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some interesting matchups, and I'm assuming they have Vandy as the 2 seed. Is that right? Jumping Arkansas, is that correct?
Baseball America has Vandy as the number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed, okay.
D1 Baseball has them as the number 2 seed.
Okay, yeah, we had some debate about that today, and obviously Vandy winning the tournament. I would keep Texas in the 1 seed line just because I think that the SEC tournament does matter. I don't like to say that it doesn't, but I think what you do over those 10 weekends should matter a little bit more than a 1 week long tournament, in my opinion, just because it shows over the longevity of those 10 weeks, you were the best team in the conference. So I think Texas is deserving. We'll see what happens, but yeah, those draws for Arkansas are interesting. Certainly, if you're getting Tennessee and potentially in a super, we've already seen that play out, and I know things would be probably a little bit different. I don't know that the pitching matchups would be quite the same if they played in a super regional, but guys, I just think for Arkansas, it's about taking care of your own business. I think it's just such a mental game for them at this point. You mentioned some teams that potentially a Kansas. You mentioned, I believe you said Miami was one of the projections. And those are quality clubs, don't get me wrong. But, again, this is an Arkansas team. I think we all agree. They have all the pieces. They should be able to handle whoever they draw. Things get to supers. You never know. But, again, you're at Baum Walker. Like, you're in the hog pen. I look at it like that place, like an Alex Box Stadium, like the dude when it's going right. It's one of the toughest places to play in college baseball. And, I'll take Arkansas really against anybody in that spot. But, for them, again, I think it's more of just the mental side of the game. And I think Zach Root's obviously going to be a big key. That goes without saying. He's been a guy a little bit up and down, but when he's at his best, he's one of the best pitchers in the country. So he's a pick to click, obviously, if they're going to make it to Omaha. You know what you're kind of getting with the whole Gage Wood, Gabe Gackle situation. I think Gackle's going to be an X factor for them, obviously, out of the rotation. And then, I think, again, the lineup's one of the best in the country. So, I'm not worrying about what we saw in the SEC tournament or anything. So, yeah, like you said, you never know what could happen. Who saw SEMO coming? And I hate to rip open that scab, but, who saw that coming? There's going to be upsets. We know that. But, yeah, it should be Omaha or bust for Arkansas at minimum. You got to get to that super round. And, maybe you see Tennessee. Maybe you don't, right? The Vols have had their own struggles. So, you got to just take care of your business. And I think all the opponents you mentioned, they'll be tricky, no doubt, but Arkansas plays their best brand of baseball, that they will be advancing and they will be in Omaha.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, too. You mentioned mentality standpoint. This team, after 2 back-to-back years of getting knocked out of your own regional, that's something that you've got to come mentally tough for. And, I think the biggest part is, you got to take care of business game 1. Because if you can, take care of business, get the win in game 1, you set yourself up for, success in your own regional.
Yeah, you got to win game 1. I think the statistic, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like the team that, if you start out in the regional 1-0, there's like a 78 or maybe 80%, win rate that you win the regional. So, it just goes without saying, right, guys? You put yourself behind the 8 ball if you don't, if you're not able to take games 1 and games 2. So it'll come down to those arms. But the thing I know about Arkansas, too, they love to swing it at home. So being at home to the postseason, it's a huge deal. And like I mentioned, from the mental side, I think a lot of these guys being new, I don't know that they'll be carrying that burden in with them as much. Like, they're not trying to rectify what, past teams did or did not do. It'll be the fans, I think, more nervous than anything. You guys know it'll be it's such an interesting vibe right now with Arkansas, and because Dave Van Horn's such a legend, and the program is incredible. It's one of the best in the country, but they just don't have that elusive national title. And again, you guys know as well as I do, it'll be interesting because the energy will be, I would imagine in Fayetteville, it'll be, instead of the attacking mentality from the fan base, like we're going to go out there and kick their ass, it'll be more, dear God, please just don't mess this up. That's going to be kind of the thought process from the fan base. So hope for the team. Obviously, I think getting off to a quick start, getting quality outings from your starters, that's going to be pivotal. Building that momentum early, and I think if you can do that again, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, you were talking about the mentality, and I'm not worried about this game either, because to me, it's more like a wake up call. It's like each time this team has faced that adversity kind of thing, whereas like last year's team that kind of fell flat, this year's team is just always battle back. They've always, tried to at least not quit on it, through the last couple innings. If they're losing, they're always out there swinging as hard as they can. I think this kind of just this is going to be a wake up call for them, so it's like they went in here and they saw how bad it can be, right? You have the SEC Player of the Year out there throw in a couple errors, and he doesn't do that. He's had like 5 all year. It's like the best guy in the conference can go out there and suck and give up a couple runs, and that's what baseball is. So I think that part of that game and the SEC experience it is going to probably propel them a little bit further mentally going into this regional and maybe a super regional and whatnot. So I don't know. I like you said, I don't have no worries about what happened this weekend or last weekend.
No, I mean, again, it's one of those things where so many people want to tell me that the SEC tournament doesn't matter, and then when their team loses, they freak out like the season's over, right? So, no, I mean, I don't take a ton from it. I mean, you want to win, obviously. You really just had one bad inning, and it cost you. Zach Root, that 4 spot in the first. You mentioned the errors too. So, I don't. It's so much different when you're playing in a neutral site. When you're coming back home and going to be at home for the postseason. So, again, baseball is a weird game. Anything can happen. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you that, in the back of my mind, I'm not thinking to myself, is this the part where Arkansas chokes, for lack of a better way of putting it? But, I mean.
It's in the back of all of our heads too, man.
Yeah, unfortunately it is, right? Because, I mean, we've seen really, really good teams just for what, I mean, those last 2 years, I mean, those teams were really good teams that, but the difference is this team can swing it. Like, I'm not as nervous that this team is just all of a sudden going to go ice cold, especially at home, swinging the bats. Like, one constant, they've swung it all year. And, I mean, guys, you're not going to see better arms than what you've seen already through SEC play, with all due respect to anybody they could draw in a regional. So, I think the sticks is the difference with this team. Again, I think they are a complete group. And, I mean, there's a reason that I don't give keys to baseball series on a week-in, week-out basis, because they are very simple. Pitch well, play good defense, timely hitting. That's pretty much it, right? But, yeah, I think for Arkansas, I know I keep going back to the mentality thing, but I think it's important for them to, because of that sort of that in the back of our heads, getting off to a fast start, not playing a game where because the longer you let these lower seeds hang around, the more they believe, like, hey, we can win this thing, or they don't know they're supposed to lose, right? Like, everybody feels like they got a chance to get to Omaha. So I think getting off to a fast start is going to be so key for Arkansas, for their own psyche, for, stomping out any idea of a potential upset or like, oh, here we go again kind of moment. Just get through the regional round, get to supers. From there, again, whatever happens. Weird things can happen in supers, but you're at home. So I feel good about this Arkansas team. Like I said, I'd be lying to you if I told you in the back of my mind I wasn't a little nervous for the Hawgs, but, maybe they can break through. I mean, they're overdue for a trip to Omaha, it feels like, at this point.
Yeah, I think for me, too, you look at this season, the response that they've had, early in the season, they dropped that series on the road to Florida. Well, they come back home and sweep number 1 Texas. You lose a tough series on the road at LSU. You come back home and take the series against Tennessee. So this team, they know how to respond. And to your point, there's a lot of new faces on this team. So I think the combination of that and the mentality they have all year, they're going to be coming in ready to go for this regional. And it's just ready to see who's going to be headed to Fayetteville to Baum Walker and, face that rowdy crowd that Arkansas can have in the Hog Pen.
Yeah, and it'll be raucous, man. I think it's important for the crowd will do their part. They'll uplift the boys and get behind them. But I think you make a good point. They've responded to adversity all year, and I don't think this team's going to allow, a not so stellar performance in the SEC tournament to carry over or linger in any kind of way. I don't see it.
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'll be interested to see, how similar these projections are to what actually happens in the selection show tomorrow. I know we're all going to be watching that, but we'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to jump on here with us for a little bit and talk some Hawgs baseball. Before you get out here, if you want to let everybody know where they can find you at, feel free.
Yeah, Caleb Austin, I really appreciate it. Glad we're able to make this work. I know we've been trying to link up for a little bit, so I appreciate y'all reaching out and always down to talk SEC baseball and, of course, Arkansas. But, yeah, we're at SEC Unfiltered, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content, YouTube, podcast, and, of course, our website, secunfiltered.com. And just stay tuned to us. We'll be going live immediately following that selection show tomorrow, breaking everything down. We'll obviously be previewing and predicting and everything, the regional round throughout the week, tons of guest appearances and as I like to say, content bleeding out of the eyeball. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of fun stuff planned, and Omaha's on the horizon, boys. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. Arkansas is going to be one of those 8.
Agreed 100% there. But yeah, so everybody go check out Chris's content over there, SE Unfiltered, fantastic stuff. Like you said, hopefully we'll be talking about Arkansas moving on in a few weeks, but until then, we'll catch you later, and appreciate you again taking time to join us.
Awesome. Caleb Austin, y'all the best. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.
See ya.
We'll see you, man.
Awesome. So that was Chris from SEC Unfiltered joining us to talk a little bit of Arkansas baseball. We talked about these projections. It's going to be interesting to see. To this point, this will be interesting to see. My wife said the Razorbacks should add some of those Savannah banana moves in there. That'll get the hog pin going. That stems from, we were in Kansas City last night. We went up and saw the Savannah Bananas playing in Royal Stadium last night. So that'll be fun to see. Vihiva making a catch at shortstop and throwing it between his legs to Reese Robinette over at first. Fantastic stuff.
I bet he could do it.
Oh, 100%.
But he won't have another error like he did this time. But yeah, no, I want to talk a little bit about that potential to have Tennessee. Man, that would be fun. Have Tennessee come back, because Tony Vitello is not going to come in here like wanting revenge, But the sucky part about that is that's the regional that would draw Kansas, and that would suck if we got Kansas. But it is what it is. I don't know why it's like these Midwest teams that aren't good enough to really win the Big Ten, but they're still pretty good. They always come into I say Big Ten, Big 12. These Big 12 teams that aren't really good enough to win it, but they get like second. And then they come into the Fayetteville and they give Arkansas such a hard time. I mean, like right. TCU, Kansas State. So I'm a little bit worried about that. It's the superstition that comes with it too. It's just every time I see that come in as like the second seed in Arkansas's regional, it's just like I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
And what I don't like is the consistent between the two is you have UALR potentially coming to Fayetteville for the region too. I mean, after like Chris just mentioned, SEMO last year. Little Rock is coming in hot after just winning the Ohio Valley Conference to kind of clinch their berth there. That's wouldn't overlook them, because if they are coming in, that's probably who you're going to be playing in game 1.
Yeah, and I think that would be kind of cool, just from the standpoint of playing an in-state team. Again,
it would be cool when you win, but not
right. You don't want to get beat by them.
Yeah,
no. I think it would be cool, just as because there's going to be a lot of I'd say fans if Euler actually has a fan base. But
you have a lot of people travel.
They'll have a lot of people travel because that's their hometown team. It's not like they don't like the Hogs too. So not only you're going to have these people come up to watch Euler play, they're also going to stay and they're going to watch the Hogs play because they're from Arkansas and they like the Hogs. So I feel like it kind of gives Arkansas a little bit of a leg up when it comes to like fans coming in, because you got these fans that are coming to watch Euler play, and they're going to stay and watch the Hogs because they're Hog fans too.
100%. Yeah. Hobbs in the chat still, and it's either going to be Tennessee, Ole Miss, Southern Miss, or UCLA, who we could be matched up with, but got to worry about that regional first. Exactly. That's where you got to worry about it. Hobbs ain't worried about Little Rock. If they do match up, he said, we're going to rule them in game 1 next. So some confidence there. Transplant Texan asked, where else would you put ULR if you didn't stick them in the Fayetteville regional? I had the same mindset of what Hobbs was saying here. He said potentially LSU. I would also say potentially Nashville and the Vandy regional as well. That's 2
true
regional places you could send teams. You know how we like to send teams there. Or Hobbs says Ole Miss as well, potentially. Yeah. So could see that, but I'll be interested to see how correct or how accurate these projections are to what actually happens in the selection show and who is going to be headed to Fayetteville for that regional. It's going to be interesting. I know everybody's ready. Unfortunately, after this weekend with softball, everybody's ready for baseball to get back in town and get started back up. You've had one baseball game in 2 weeks, so I think maybe these fans are starting to have some withdrawals and are ready for some Arkansas baseball back here in Fayetteville, and I'm excited. It's going to be interesting to see who Arkansas draws. Like you said, if you have a Kansas team coming out of the Big 12 that is one of the best home run hitting teams in the Big 12 this year. Yeah. Creighton, a team that flies under the radar some, and then Little Rock we talked about. We saw them earlier this year. We played them already this season, and so.
What was the other regional? Because I didn't hear the second team. I heard Miami and then Little Rock, but I didn't hear the second team was.
It was Northeastern out of the CAA.
Northeastern, and that's what Hawgs was talking about in the
won 27 games straight.
Yeah, that means they're due for a loss.
Yeah, that's
the way I see it.
Yeah, Hobbs said he's ready. He's off work. He's going to get crazy, squeeze play all weekend watching baseball. So. That's Hobbs is going to be tuned in and keeping everybody up to date on that. But, yeah, that one actually has us matched up with the UCLA regional. So go on and send that West Coast team over and, let them see some, SEC baseball.
Yeah, if we're talking about having a preferable draw, that would be it. That would be a nice draw.
And that's if they get through their own regional, who has UC Irvine, Mississippi State, and St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference. So you're sending Mississippi State out west in a region with all these West Coast teams.
Yeah, but UC Irvine's pretty good too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, all those small schools over there in Southern California and the middle of California, they just all of a sudden they're just really good every once in a while like that. So, I would like that. I would like to see them play someone we haven't seen them play. I don't. As much as a storyline it is to see Tennessee come back to Fayetteville, we already watched that story. It's a rerun. I want to watch the new episode. So,
give us some new content there. So
yeah, just like someone who likes sports, I want to see something new. But then again, I want Arkansas to go to the College World Series, and to me, that's kind of the easiest road. Super regional, that's the easiest super regional. UCLA is probably about as good, I wouldn't say about as good. They're probably that 16 seed that Chris was talking about. So I think they would probably win the 2, but I don't know. It's I know they can win against Tennessee. I think they can win against UCLA.
Yeah, I don't think Hobbs likes you talking about supers already.
No.
He said, "Can we get there first?"
You're not on here, Hobbs. I'm going to talk about what I want.
Oh, there we go. But to kind of give you guys an update of the schedule, so Monday, tomorrow, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock Eastern is the selection show. So we will find out, who's headed to Fayetteville. Regionals will start Monday, May 30th. Friday, May 30th. So this coming Friday, you'll have regionals started, and then Friday, June 6th is when Supers begin. First day of the College World Series is June 13th. And so, a lot to go through to get there. And so it'll be fun to see what happens. Who's in this Arkansas regional? Is it going to be an in-state team like Little Rock? Are you going to have a Kansas from the Big 12? Are you going to have a Miami from the ACC? It's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, I would love to see some teams Arkansas doesn't normally play, change it up a little bit. That way, you don't see any of the, as we call them, reruns around here. So tune in tomorrow. We'll find out. And then Friday, we'll get things underway back here in Fayetteville. So it'll be fun to see. Quick, former Arkansas player news that I saw just before we jumped out here. Fan favorite, former Arkansas Peyton Holt has got the call and is headed and signed to the Cincinnati Reds. So he's been playing with the Kansas City Monarchs, where, that actually happened for him where, he just attended an open tryout April 29th, impressed the manager. They didn't really have a spot for him. The manager said after seeing him in the open tryouts, they found a spot for him. As this article talks about, Holt wasted no time in making an impact for this team. He homered in his first game, collected 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 11 walks across 13 games with the Monarchs, playing at third base and the outfield. His final hit with the Monarchs came off of a walk-off single against Lake County on Saturday night. And then, he gets the call and is headed up to be signed with the Cincinnati Reds. So I'll be interested to see what type of playing time he potentially gets. But they
didn't say anything about him like faking anybody out in the outfit or anything like that.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
No deep plays in with the Kansas City Monarchs.
That's still the sickest move I've ever seen. I like to do that and the fake him out. The fake him out at third and still get it at home from the center field. That's just that's insane.
Yeah.
Play.
But fantastic news. There's many of Arkansas players throughout the leagues, but finally a guy like Peyton Holt, an Arkansas kid, to finally get that call, head up to the big leagues. It'll be interesting to see how much he gets to play in at bats and things like that. But just to have that opportunity to get called up and suit up is a fantastic opportunity. And, like they like to call it, Peyton Holt, while he was here, was kind of that Energizer bunny, if you will. Whenever you need a spark, he seemed to be in the right place at the right time to give that to Arkansas. So fantastic to see him getting that call, along with, you see all the other Razorbacks that are having success up and down the league from throughout the minors and throughout all the systems. But, so we'll get ready to wrap up here. Like we said, selection show will be tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central Time, 12 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. So tune into that. And we're going to get ready to wrap up. You got anything else before we get out of here, Austin?
No, man. I think that's about it. It's kind of been slow news-wise, so there's not really anything to talk about. We're just kind of waiting until tomorrow, and then we'll have a fun weekend packed in, hopefully a couple more fun weekends ahead of us.
Exactly. I can't wait. So before we get out of here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go check out our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Hawgs on the Hill. We're going to keep you updated on all the content and all the news with the Razorback Nation, especially as we find out where and who's going to be headed to Fayetteville for the Fayetteville Regional this upcoming weekend. We're going to get ready to wrap up and get out of here. So everybody have a great Memorial Day. Get ready to find out who is headed to Fayetteville for that regional tomorrow. And we'll be back with you guys this week to kind of break down and get the stage set for the regionals this weekend here in Fayetteville. So we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a great Memorial Day, and we will see you when we see you.